The Galactic Empire had conquered hundreds of worlds across the stars, their campaigns of subjugation defined by ruthless efficiency. Their secret lay in their mastery of silent invasions. Without warning, their sleek black ships would pierce the atmosphere of an unsuspecting planet, cloaked in technology that made them invisible to primitive detection systems. By the time the local populace realized they were under attack, it was already too late. Earth, with its bountiful resources and strategic position on the outer rim of the Milky Way, was next. It began quietly, in the rural stretches of the American Midwest. Strange occurrences unsettled the locals. First came the livestock disappearing without a trace, their pens left eerily untouched. Then, entire power grids flickered and died under the strain of an unidentified energy surge. By the time a small-town sheriff found an abandoned truck with its windows melted from the inside out, it was clear that something unnatural was happening. Official explanations leaned on electrical faults or wild animal attacks, but whispers of something far more sinister grew among those who dared to look closer. At the heart of the unfolding mystery was Captain Alex Carter, leader of a U.S. Black Ops team stationed at a covert military installation. Carter was a man of calm intensity, his sharp eyes missing nothing. Years of counterterrorism missions had hardened him, but he carried the weight of every decision like an invisible scar. That night, as he pored over satellite images in the dim glow of the mission room, his unease grew. The anomalies were spreading, but the patterns were too precise to be random. Roads, communications hubs, and isolated power stations had all gone dark in a matter of hours. "This isn't sabotage," he muttered, his voice low but steady. "This is reconnaissance." The hum of the room shifted as Lisa Nguyen, the team's tech specialist, wheeled her chair over with a tablet in hand. Lisa was the youngest in the group, but made up for her lack of field experience with razor-sharp intellect and a gift for finding patterns where others saw chaos. "I ran the energy signatures through every database we've got," she said, her tone tinged with both excitement and dread. "They're not from here, Alex. Not even close." Carter's jaw tightened as he stared at the data. Energy spikes like these didn't just appear out of thin air. "Run a simulation," he ordered. "I want to know where this pattern is heading next." Hours later, as the team gathered for a midnight briefing, Carter laid out the grim reality. Ethan Rodriguez, the team's demolitions expert and resident cynic, leaned back in his chair with a scowl. "You're saying aliens?" "Actual little green men," he scoffed. Lisa, unfazed, shot him a glare. "Not little, and definitely not green. Whatever this is, it's big, and it's organized." The room fell into a heavy silence as Carter spoke. "This isn't a science fiction story, Rodriguez. This is real. If these anomalies continue spreading, major cities could go dark within days. We're the first line of defense. We move out in 2 hours. The mission was simple in theory. Locate the source of the disturbances and neutralize the threat. But as the team geared up, an undercurrent of uncertainty rippled through them. Even seasoned operatives like Rodriguez and Sergeant Hannah Marks, the team sniper and a woman of few words, couldn't shake the feeling that they were walking into the unknown. Under the cover of darkness, the team's helicopter touched down in a clearing near one of the blackout zones. The air was heavy, the silence unnerving. As they advanced through the dense forest, their night vision goggles revealed flickers of movement just beyond the trees, shapes that disappeared as quickly as they'd appeared. "Hold position," Carter ordered, his voice a hushed whisper over the comms. He motioned for Lisa to set up her portable scanner, while Rodriguez secured the perimeter with trip mines. The forest seemed alive, every rustling branch a potential threat. Then came the sound, a low, vibrating hum that seemed to pulse through the ground. The team froze as a massive shadow loomed overhead. A ship, its surface sleek and black as obsidian, hovered silently above the treetops. It was unlike anything they'd ever seen, its presence both awe-inspiring and terrifying. Before anyone could react, beams of pale blue light shot down, illuminating the forest floor. Figures began to emerge, tall, armored creatures with sleek, angular forms. Their movements were precise, their weapons humming with alien energy. Contact! Carter's voice cut through the moment, breaking the paralysis. The team opened fire, their bullets sparking harmlessly against the aliens' shimmering shields. Rodriguez swore under his breath as he launched a grenade, the explosion momentarily disorienting the invaders. "Fall back!" Carter barked. They retreated into the woods, using the dense underbrush as cover. Marks picked off one of the creatures with a well-placed shot to an exposed joint, but it was clear they were outmatched. Lisa, clutching her scanner, yelled into the comms. "Their shields are powered by those drones overhead. We need to take them out." "On it," Rodriguez replied, planting an explosive charge on a nearby tree and detonating it just as one of the drones passed. The resulting shockwave sent the alien line into disarray, buying the team precious seconds to regroup. They retreated further, the alien forces in pursuit. Carter's mind raced, every decision weighing heavily. They couldn't win this fight, not here, not like this. But they'd learned something valuable. The invaders weren't invincible. As the team finally broke through the edge of the forest and reached their extraction point, Carter turned to take one last look. The ship above had begun to ascend, its lights dimming as it disappeared into the clouds. This was no random attack. It was a probe, a test of Earth's defenses. The helicopter's rotors roared to life as they lifted off, the forest shrinking below them. Carter's jaw clenched as he spoke into his comms. "We've got confirmation of hostile extraterrestrial forces. This isn't over." Back at the base, the weight of what they'd witnessed settled over the team. For the first time, the invincible Black Ops unit faced a threat they couldn't fully understand. Yet amidst the uncertainty, one thing was clear. Humanity wasn't going down without a fight. The aftermath of the encounter left the Black Ops team in a state of restless determination. Back at their covert base, a classified facility buried beneath a desolate stretch of desert, Captain Alex Carter stood before a holographic map, its glowing grid highlighting the invasion's expanding reach. The weight of responsibility bore down on him, a familiar burden he carried with unflinching resolve. The alien incursion had shifted from a theoretical threat to an undeniable reality. They weren't just defending Earth. They were fighting for its survival. Lisa and Gwen worked tirelessly at her console, her fingers flying over the keyboard as streams of alien data scrolled across the screen. The stolen information from the first skirmish had revealed more than anyone anticipated. The invaders weren't improvising. Their moves were calculated, each blackout an attack designed to dismantle critical infrastructure and leave humanity vulnerable. Lisa's brow furrowed as she deciphered fragments of intercepted transmissions, her mind racing to understand their cryptic language. "They're preparing for something bigger," she said, her voice tight with urgency. "These aren't random strikes. They're laying the groundwork for full-scale domination." Carter nodded, his eyes never leaving the map. "How long do we have before they escalate?" Lisa hesitated. "If they keep this pace, days. Maybe less." Ethan Rodriguez leaned against the wall, arms crossed. The demolitions expert exuded a nonchalant confidence, but his dark eyes betrayed a simmering tension. "So we hit them first," he said, breaking the silence. "We've got the tech, the skills. Let's show these bastards what they're dealing with." Sergeant Hannah Marks, sitting quietly in the corner as she cleaned her sniper rifle, glanced up. "We don't even know how many of them there are," she pointed out, her voice calm but pointed. "Or where their command is. Charging in blind is a good way to get killed." "That's why we're here," Carter said, his tone steady but firm. "We don't wait for orders. We assess, adapt, and act. If these things want to fight, we'll give them one. But on our terms." The room fell silent as his words sank in. Each of them had been trained to face the unimaginable. But this was different. Their enemy wasn't human. The thought lingered like a shadow over their confidence, forcing them to confront the stark reality of what lay ahead. Their next mission came swiftly. An emergency alert pinged across the base's network, highlighting a new hotspot, a research facility in Nevada that had gone dark hours earlier. The facility had been developing classified energy weapons, technology that, if captured by the aliens, could shift the balance of power irreversibly. Within minutes, the team was airborne, the hum of the helicopter's rotors filling the cabin. Carter sat across from Lisa, who was hunched over her tablet, reviewing the facility's schematics. Marks methodically checked her ammunition, while Rodriguez adjusted the straps of his explosives pack with a smirk that didn't quite reach his eyes. As they neared the facility, the helicopter descended into a dark canyon, its lights dimmed to avoid detection. Carter's voice crackled over the comms. Standard recon protocol. Minimal engagement unless absolutely necessary. We're here to secure the facility and recover any intel before the invaders can get their hands on it. The team moved with practiced precision, their boots silent against the rocky terrain. The research facility loomed ahead, its angular structure eerily dark against the night sky. The absence of movement was unsettling, the air thick with the promise of danger. Lisa set up her scanner at the perimeter, her hands steady despite the tension. No human heat signatures, she reported, her voice barely above a whisper. But there's something else. High-energy readings coming from the lower levels. Rodriguez gripped his rifle, his muscles coiled with anticipation. That's our cue. They entered the facility, their movements synchronized and deliberate. The air inside was stifling, the hum of distant machinery the only sound. Carter led the way, his rifle sweeping the dark corridors. Lisa trailed behind, her scanner beeping intermittently as it picked up faint traces of alien technology. In the control room, the team found the first signs of the invaders' presence. Alien devices, sleek and pulsating with a faint blue glow, were embedded into the facility's systems. Marks crouched by a terminal, her sharp eyes scanning the screens. Looks like they've been here long enough to download critical data, she said grimly. Lisa's face darkened as she connected her tablet to the terminal, bypassing the alien encryption. They've got schematics for our weapon systems, she said, her voice tight. If they decode this, we're done. The faint hum grew louder, a low vibration that resonated through the walls. Carter's hand shot up, signaling silence. The team froze, their senses on high alert. From the shadows emerged a group of alien soldiers, their sleek armor reflecting the dim light. The fight was immediate and brutal. Marks took position behind a console, her sniper rifle picking off targets with lethal precision. Rodriguez, grinning despite the chaos, hurled a grenade that sent a cluster of aliens sprawling. Carter moved with calculated efficiency, his orders clear and direct. But the aliens adapted quickly. Their shields deflected most of the team's bullets, forcing them to rely on guerrilla tactics to outmaneuver the enemy. Lisa scrambled to disable the devices in the control room, her fingers flying over her tablet as chaos erupted around her. We're outnumbered, Rodriguez shouted, reloading his weapon. We need to blow this place and get out. Not yet, Carter barked. Lisa, how much longer? Almost there, she yelled, her voice strained. The final device powered down with a hiss, and she grabbed her gear. Got it. Fall back, Carter ordered. The team moved as one, their retreat covered by Rodriguez's expertly placed explosives. The facility shook as detonations rippled through its structure, destroying the remaining alien tech. They emerged into the night, the facility behind them engulfed in flames. The helicopter awaited, its rotors slicing through the air as the team boarded. Carter cast a final glance at the burning structure before signaling the pilot to lift off. As they soared into the sky, the weight of their narrow escape settled over them. The mission had been a success, but the fight was far from over. The aliens had revealed their hand, and the team now had proof of the scale of the threat. Back at the base, Carter stood alone in the mission room, staring at the map. The patterns were clearer now, the enemy's strategy taking shape. He clenched his fists, determination hardening his features. This isn't just about survival. He said quietly to himself, "This is about winning." The alien ship hung in orbit, a hulking monolith of sleek black metal and pulsating lights, far beyond the reach of conventional human technology. From this vantage point, the Galactic Empire orchestrated its assault on Earth, calculating every move with cold precision. Below, Captain Alex Carter and his team gathered in the operations room, their faces etched with determination. The data Lisa and Gwen had extracted from the alien outpost had revealed a chilling truth. The Invaders' Central Command was not only off-planet, but protected by layers of advanced defenses. "They've set up a staging ground in orbit," Lisa explained, projecting the schematics onto the room's holographic display. "It's not just a ship, it's a mobile fortress. Communications, troop deployment, energy weapons. It's all being coordinated from here." Ethan Rodriguez leaned back in his chair, his expression grim. "Great. So now we're supposed to fight an intergalactic fortress with what? Duct tape and a dream." "Not quite," Lisa said, her tone sharp. "We've got one advantage they didn't account for: adaptability. I've been analyzing their technology, and I think I can rig our systems to bypass their shields, at least temporarily." Carter nodded, his mind already racing ahead. "If we can infiltrate their ship and disable their command systems, it could throw their entire operation into disarray. But we'll need a way to get up there without being detected." The room fell silent, the enormity of the task settling over them. Then Sergeant Hannah Marks spoke, her voice calm and measured. "What about the scrapped orbital shuttle in Hangar 3? It's a relic, but with a few modifications, it might just get us there." Lisa's eyes lit up. "That could work. The shuttle's old enough that their sensors might not recognize it as a threat, but it'll take some serious retrofitting to make it space-worthy." "We've got 48 hours, Carter said, his tone leaving no room for argument. "Lisa, focus on adapting our systems to counter their tech. Rodriguez, you and Marks get the shuttle operational. I'll handle the mission plan. Let's move." The next 2 days were a blur of frantic activity. Sparks flew in the hangar as Rodriguez and Marks worked tirelessly, welding, wiring, and repurposing outdated equipment to make the shuttle space-ready. Lisa buried herself in her makeshift lab, deciphering alien code and reverse engineering their technology with a mix of ingenuity and desperation. Carter coordinated the operation with military precision, ensuring every detail was accounted for. As the team gathered on the third night, the shuttle loomed behind them, its patched-together frame a testament to their determination. The interior had been stripped and reinforced, its systems rewired with a combination of human and alien tech. "This is it," Carter said, his voice steady. "Once we're up there, we'll have one shot. Lisa, you'll hack into their systems and plant a virus to disrupt their operations. Rodriguez, you'll set charges on critical systems to ensure they can't regroup. Marks and I will handle security." Questions? No one spoke. The plan was insane, but it was their only chance. The launch was harrowing. The shuttle shook violently as it ascended through Earth's atmosphere, the retrofitted engines straining against the pull of gravity. Inside, the team sat in tense silence, each of them focused on the mission ahead. As they broke through the atmosphere, the alien fortress came into view. It was a behemoth, its surface bristling with weaponry and shielded by a faint, shimmering barrier. Lisa's fingers danced over her console, her jaw clenched in concentration. "Engaging stealth systems," she said. "We've got about a 5-minute window before their sensors pick us up." The shuttle docked with a barely perceptible jolt, attaching to a maintenance hatch on the fortress's underside. The team moved quickly, their boots making no sound against the metal floor. The interior was a labyrinth of corridors, the walls glowing faintly with alien energy. Lisa guided them through the maze, her tablet displaying a real-time map of the fortress's systems. "The main control hub is 3 levels up," she whispered. "We'll need to take out the power nodes on the way to disable their countermeasures." The first encounter came without warning. A patrol of alien soldiers rounded the corner, their sleek armor glinting in the dim light. Carter signaled silently, and Marks dropped into position, her sniper rifle eliminating the lead soldier with a single shot. Rodriguez tossed a small EMP grenade, the resulting pulse disabling the remaining soldiers, shields long enough for Carter to take them down. "Keep moving," Carter ordered, his voice low but firm. They reached the first power node, a towering pillar of alien machinery pulsating with energy. Lisa connected her tablet, her face bathed in blue light as she worked to overload the system. "Hurry up," Rodriguez muttered, his eyes scanning the corridor for more hostiles. "Done," Lisa said, disconnecting just as the node began to spark and sputter. They continued upward, encountering increasingly fierce resistance. The aliens were relentless, their tactics precise and unforgiving. Marks's steady aim and Rodriguez's explosives kept the team alive, but the strain was evident. Finally, they reached the control hub, a vast chamber filled with towering consoles and holographic displays. Alien symbols flickered across the screens, the fortress's entire operation laid bare. Lisa moved to the main console, her hands trembling slightly as she began to upload the virus. "This will take a few minutes," she said, her voice tight. Carter and the others held the line, fending off waves of alien soldiers that poured into the room. The air was thick with the sound of gunfire and the hum of alien energy weapons. "Almost there," Lisa shouted, her voice rising over the chaos. The moment the virus finished uploading, the entire chamber shuddered. Consoles flickered and died, and the lights dimmed as the fortresses. The skies above Earth had never looked more serene. Beneath the swirling clouds and the expanse of stars beyond, the Black Ops team made their descent back to the base, their faces illuminated only by the dull glow of their mission report screens. The destruction of the alien command fortress had struck a significant blow to the Galactic Empire, but no one was under any illusions. This was merely a setback for their invaders. The real war was just beginning. Captain Alex Carter sat at the front of the helicopter, his hands gripping the armrests, eyes fixed on the horizon. Behind him, the team exchanged murmured conversations about what they'd accomplished, the weight of the task ahead hanging over them like a storm cloud. Yet there was a spark of hope in their eyes, a belief, however fragile, that the tide could be turned. Lisa Nguyen was already at work, her fingers flying over her tablet, processing the data they'd stolen from the alien systems. "The virus we uploaded into their core didn't just cripple their command ship," she said, breaking the silence. "It infected a larger portion of their network. I've been analyzing the data. We have access to their comms, schematics, even their tactical plans." Rodriguez leaned forward, his eyebrows raising in interest. "And what does that tell us?" Lisa's lips curled into a slight smile, though it lacked the usual confidence. "They're regrouping. They've lost their foothold on Earth's surface, but they're not giving up. There's a secondary fleet en route, likely their reinforcements, and they've started mobilizing new weapon caches. So they're not running," Carter mused, the gravity of the situation settling on him like a heavy cloak. "But we know what they're planning." "Exactly," Lisa replied. "And with their network in disarray, we can leverage this intel to disrupt their final push. If we can target their fleet before they can establish a new base, we might prevent them from rallying the full force." Ethan Rodriguez let out a low whistle, crossing his arms. "A fleet, just what we need. So, what are we waiting for? Let's hit them before they land." Hannah Marks, who had been silently absorbing the conversation, spoke up, her tone calm yet calculating. "We can't just throw everything at them. The fleet's in motion, but it won't take them long to regroup once they make contact. We need to hit them where it hurts, find their weak points, and exploit them. We can't afford to miss." Carter gave a single nod, taking in the urgency of their situation. "I agree. We'll split our efforts. Lisa, I need you to help us pinpoint their most vulnerable targets. Anything we can use to stop them cold." Lisa nodded, already pulling up more data. "There's a weapons depot on one of their smaller ships. It's lightly guarded and has a direct link to the rest of their fleet's armament supplies. If we disable that, it'll slow their reinforcements long enough for us to hit their command ship again. How long do we have before they regroup? Carter asked, his eyes narrowed with calculation. Maybe 24 hours, Lisa replied. They'll need time to repair the damage we've caused, but once they do, they'll be ready to deploy their full force. Carter's mind raced as he pieced everything together. That's all the time we need. He turned to the team, his voice steady but full of determination. We hit the fleet, disrupt their supply lines, and leave them with no way to retaliate. We can finish this. The plan was bold, reckless even, but it was the only chance they had. As the helicopter touched down, the team began preparations for the mission ahead. Equipment was checked, weapons reloaded, and their shuttle was prepped for another dangerous trip into the heart of enemy territory. The air was thick with tension as they boarded, but there was a new sense of purpose among them. The team wasn't just reacting anymore. They were taking the fight to the enemy. Once in orbit, the shuttle approached the alien fleet, a massive, imposing cluster of ships hovering in the void. The craft was a massive silhouette against the stars, with smaller vessels surrounding the flagship like a swarm of bees. The gravity of the situation wasn't lost on anyone. The Black Ops team wasn't just facing off against a few scattered invaders. They were taking on the full might of an intergalactic empire. Lisa focused intently on her tablet, her mind working through the alien systems at a fever pitch. There's a weapons depot, she said, her voice sharp. It's located on a smaller vessel, about 100 kilometers from the flagship. Low defenses, but it's still heavily shielded. I can get us in, but we need to be quick. Ethan grinned, the excitement of the mission sparking in his eyes. Well, at least it won't be boring. Marks checked her weapon one last time, her calm demeanor betraying no sign of the tension building around them. Let's get in and get out, she said, eyes already scanning for potential threats. The shuttle glided through the silent expanse of space, its stealth technology masking their approach. The enemy ships were massive, their hulls gleaming under the light of distant stars. But as they neared the weapons depot, Carter's mind sharpened, calculating their every move. They had no room for error. The shuttle docked with the depot's outer rim, and the team moved quickly, their boots silent on the metal floors. Alien soldiers patrolled the halls, but Marks and Rodriguez handled them with ruthless efficiency. Each step was methodical, their coordination seamless. Lisa moved quickly, her fingers flying over alien terminals as she worked to disable the security systems. I've got access to their main power grid, she said, her voice focused. Once we overload the system, their entire fleet's weaponry will be locked out. They'll be defenseless. The hum of alien technology filled the air as they moved deeper into the depot. Every corner turned, every door breached, heightened the sense of urgency. Time was running out. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, Lisa signaled to Carter. We're in. Overloading now. A blinding flash of light erupted from the depot's core as the systems fried. The weapon caches across the fleet flickered, then shut down, leaving the invaders with nothing to fight back with. Rodriguez slapped a charge on the main generator. That should do it. Let's get out of here. The team made their way back to the shuttle, the blast from the generator's destruction sending shockwaves through the structure. As they ascended into space, they could see the effects ripple across the alien fleet. Ships veered out of formation, their weapon systems down. The invaders momentarily incapacitated. For the first time since the invasion began, it seemed the Galactic Empire had faltered. As they made their way back to Earth, Carter looked at his team, a flicker of relief and resolve passing over his face. They had made a difference, but as the mission wound down, he knew they were far from finished. This was only the beginning. The tide had turned, but the war was far from over. The final battle began in silence, broken only by the low hum of the Black Ops shuttle's engines as it drifted through the void. The Galactic Empire's fleet, once an invincible fortress in orbit, now floated in disarray. Systems were offline, weapons depots destroyed, and their command network shattered. Yet, even in their weakened state, the invaders remained a formidable threat. Their flagship, a colossal vessel bristling with armor and weapons, loomed ahead like a predator poised to strike. Inside the shuttle, Captain Alex Carter stood at the helm, his jaw set and eyes locked on the target. This was it, the culmination of their mission, the final chance to end the invasion. His team sat strapped into their seats, each one ready but bearing the weight of what lay ahead. Lisa Nguyen's voice cut through the tension, calm but urgent. "I've managed to patch into their remaining systems. They've rerouted all power to the flagship's core. If we can breach the central reactor and overload it, the entire ship will go down." Ethan Rodriguez let out a low whistle, shaking his head. "You make it sound so easy." "It's not," Lisa replied, her fingers flying over her console. "The reactor's shielded, and their remaining forces will be concentrated around it. We'll have to fight our way through." Sergeant Hannah Marks checked her rifle, her expression unreadable. "Then we'll fight. It's what we do." Carter turned to face his team. "This is it. We've crippled their fleet, taken out their supplies, and disrupted their plans. Now we take the fight to them. Whatever happens, know that you've already done the impossible. Let's finish this." The shuttle docked with the flagship, attaching to an auxiliary airlock. The interior was dimly lit, the once efficient corridors now flickering with the telltale signs of damaged systems. The air was thick with the faint, acrid smell of burnt metal. The team moved swiftly, their boots silent on the grated floor. Carter took point, his weapon at the ready, with Marks covering the rear. Lisa guided them from a tablet strapped to her wrist, her voice steady despite the tension. "First checkpoint is up ahead," she whispered. "There's a security hub we need to disable before we can reach the reactor." As they approached, the sound of alien footsteps echoed through the corridor. Carter raised his fist, signaling the team to halt. Moments later, a patrol of armored soldiers rounded the corner. Marks moved first, her sniper rifle eliminating the lead soldier before they could react. Rodriguez followed, his shotgun delivering a deafening blast that sent another flying. The firefight was quick and brutal, leaving the corridor littered with bodies. Lisa bypassed the security hub's controls in seconds, the door to the reactor chamber sliding open with a hiss. "This is it," she said, her voice taut. "The core's just ahead." The chamber was vast, its centerpiece a massive cylindrical reactor pulsing with blue light. Alien engineers scrambled to maintain it, their movements frantic as alarms blared throughout the ship. Guard units were already converging, their weapons raised and shields shimmering. "Move!" Carter shouted, charging into the fray. The battle erupted in a storm of gunfire and energy blasts. Marks took cover on an elevated platform, her rifle picking off targets with deadly precision. Rodriguez lobbed grenades, each explosion shaking the chamber and scattering enemy forces. Carter fought at the forefront, his every movement a calculated strike. Lisa crouched behind cover, her tablet connected to the reactor's control panel. "I need more time," she called out, her fingers moving faster than ever. "Time's not exactly on our side," Rodriguez shouted back, narrowly avoiding a blast from an enemy weapon. Marks's voice cut through the chaos. "Hostiles incoming from the upper levels. I'll cover them." She fired a series of shots, her aim unerring even as the situation grew increasingly dire. Sweat dripped down Lisa's face as she worked, her mind racing to outthink the alien systems. Almost there, just a little longer, Carter ducked behind a console, reloading his weapon. His eyes flicked to Lisa, then back to the advancing enemy forces. "You've got 30 seconds." With a triumphant shout, Lisa slammed her hand on the panel. "Got it. The reactor's overloading. We've got 2 minutes to get out of here." The team began their retreat, but the aliens weren't letting them go without a fight. Marks and Carter provided covering fire as Rodriguez and Lisa led the way back toward the airlock. The ship groaned around them, the reactor's imminent failure sending tremors through the structure. As they neared the shuttle, a deafening roar filled the corridor. A towering alien commander stepped into their path, its armor gleaming and energy sword crackling with lethal power. "Go!" Carter barked, stepping forward to face the threat. Marks hesitated, her instincts warring with her trust in her captain. Carter, "Go!" he repeated, his tone leaving no room for argument. The team moved past him, their expressions grim but resolute. Carter faced the commander alone, his weapon steady. The two clashed in a blur of motion, every strike and counterstrike a test of skill and will. Behind them, the team reached the shuttle. Rodriguez helped Lisa aboard, then turned to look back. "He's not going to make it," he muttered, his voice filled with frustration. Marks placed a hand on his shoulder, her eyes hard. He knew the risk. "We need to go, or this will all be for nothing." Inside the chamber, Carter fought with everything he had, his movements growing slower as exhaustion set in. Finally, with a final, desperate strike, he landed a fatal blow on the alien commander. But it was too late to escape. The reactor erupted in a brilliant explosion, the flagship tearing itself apart from within. The shockwave sent the shuttle hurtling through space, its systems barely holding together. Inside, the team sat in silence, their breaths heavy. Lisa stared at the view outside, the wreckage of the flagship scattered across the stars. "He did it," she said softly, her voice trembling. Marks nodded, her expression solemn. "We all did." As the shuttle descended back toward Earth, the team was battered but alive. They had turned the tide and delivered a crippling blow to the invaders. But victory came at a cost, one they would carry with them forever. In the distance, the sun began to rise, casting its light over a planet that, for the first time since the invasion began, had hope.